Harry Jaggard is a charismatic British YouTube sensation from Birmingham, UK, celebrated for his adventurous and daring travel vlogs. Known for venturing into places deemed dangerous, Harry uncovers the true stories behind their reputations. His captivating content includes homestays with families across the globe, renting girlfriends, and no money challenges where he relies on the kindness of strangers for 24 hours. Harry's wild escapades, like getting knocked out in a Nigerian boxing match, receiving a tattoo from the Mandari tribe in South Sudan, and riding in a coal cart on the Mauritania train, have garnered him over 6.5 million followers and over 1 billion views. Beyond his adventurous spirit, Harry is a keen businessman who continuously evolves his online presence with innovative ideas. A good friend and a delight to be around, Harry brings charm and excitement to everything he does. Harry, welcome.
Thank you. That's very, very nice words. I appreciate it.
No, of course, they're all meaningful, and I gotta say, sitting down in this formal setting is strange and surreal since all of our banter is always whenever off the cuff and we're running around and doing stuff. So we'll see how far we get before laughs go.
And the degeneracy starts.
Before we start talking absolutely ridiculous. I want to jump right into it, and I think there's a lot of cool areas that we can go, and you found a lot of incredible sex.
Hell yeah.
Fame, baby. You found a lot of incredible success. And sex, I hope. Ooh.
Ooh.
Boing.
But don't tell anyone.
What are the most important metrics to obsess over when building an audience on YouTube?
What are the most important?
Mm-hmm.
So there's like theoretically and like non-theoretical. Theoretically, there's like the two main things, which are click-through rate and watch time. There's no argument over that. Like nobody can argue against it. It's like how many people are clicking on the video and how many people are watching to the end. That's like black and white. However, in my niche, it's a little bit more nuanced than that. Like Mr. Beast is just that. Mr. Beast is like the biggest YouTuber for anyone who doesn't know. But for my travel niche, authenticity is a kind of like a nuanced part of it where like your personality is also a driving factor. And so I would say it's those two plus just being the real you, which took me a long time to figure out. And I'm still working on it. But like my aim is to be exactly the same person on camera as I am off camera. And I'm getting there for sure. But yeah, that's the short answer.
I like that. It sounds like there's a number component to it, and then there's the personality, which is something that you don't necessarily measure. And I want to go into that in just a second. And just so the two that you mentioned, it was click-through rate. So that's the number of people who click on the YouTube video and then stay and watch, right? And then the second one is view time. So essentially how engaging your video is, and then how you can keep folks watching for a long time. The type of videos that you typically produce are 45 minutes to an hour. And so how is it that you break it down so someone stays watching for 45 minutes? It's a huge commitment of time.
Yeah, that's a long time to keep people watching. And for me, there's definitely tricks and stuff that you can do that I have used. The tricks are there's like hook and a payoff. That's like the simplest way. Is like the hook is obviously you get people interested. You tell them what's going to be in the video, and then a payoff would be something is going to happen right at the end of the video that the viewer wants to stay and watch till. So I'm trying to think, for example, my most viral video, renting a girlfriend in Japan. The hook was I'm in Japan and I'm going to rent a girlfriend. It's such like a unique, like how is he doing that? And then the payoff was I said, wait till the end to watch whether I get a second date for free. So obviously people naturally were like, oh, is he going to get it for free or is he going to have to pay? So that's like it's a subtle one, but it worked. And then to go deeper onto that, what I'm trying to now do, which is like really if I can really master this, then it's just going to be a game changer. Is real storytelling. There's like narrative arcs that you can do, character arcs, and the most famous like storytelling technique that I'm trying to implement, but it's so hard into a vlog where you don't know what's going to happen, is Harmon's Circle. I won't go into it too deep, but basically you just go on like a character's journey. Like in every single Hollywood movie, they use a similar type arc. But obviously a Hollywood movie is completely scripted, whereas mine are like, you don't know what's going to happen. I didn't know I was going to get punched in a Nigerian boxing match, but this is something that I can work on.
Yeah, actually, funny enough, I just spoke about that exact thing in the last episode, so I'm familiar with that of the hero's journey, I think is how it's often called as well, where everyone can find it something that's engaging where the person starts, and then they essentially get involved with a mentor. Maybe in your case, it could be a guide, and then there's some death, maybe departure of the past, and then you come around and you get a new welcoming to a culture. So that'll be incredibly interesting to see how you implement it as a vlogger, because it's such a mystery. But having seen the video in Nigeria where you do get punched, it's perfect because the whole setup is great. You go into a place that you've never been. Your guide signs you up without you knowing into this boxing match, and then boom, you get punched, and then you come out of it just as a new person, and I think it's a really cool way. So I guess hearing that or understanding the success of that, does that now make you want to be bolder on the type of stuff you step into as a vlogger?
To some extent, not in terms of just like doing crazy, like the Nigerian boxing match. That was definitely pushing it on my side, but I really like to go to quote unquote dangerous countries, and other than obviously like the content does perform better than if I was to go to a normal country. However, I just like it fills me with so much like excitement, like knowing that I'm going to go to these countries, and it's just like supply and demand. There's like a low supply of people going there, therefore like generally the videos will do better, but also just like I feel like it's almost like I'm discovering this place for the first time and documenting it for the first time. Obviously I'm not, but it feels like that. And I really want to be like on the frontier of making new videos in places that people haven't made before, or at least if someone's made a video there, then just trying to make it in my own way with a little bit of like comedy and just putting my own spin on it.
Yeah, and you, for those that would be listening, you put quotes in dangerous and then quotes in normal when you said that. Mm-hmm. What made you do that?
Well, just because like after traveling to like I've traveled to like the most dangerous countries in the world officially, like Afghanistan is officially the most dangerous country in the world, and like I just personally would not call it that. It's the most hospitable country I've actually ever been to in my life. So like the irony is that officially the most dangerous is my official most hospitable. Obviously, like there's a government there that is not recognized, and for obvious reasons. However, I'm talking about the people, and like a people and its government are two completely different things. So yeah, like you realize. I can only say this, and people will obviously not believe me or whatever. But like, once you go to a place that you think is dangerous, like more often than not, you find out that like it's really not that bad, and the people are so friendly, and there's a reason why. Like even like every dangerous place, every dangerous country is usually like just a small area of that country. Even like a place like Ukraine or Israel right now. It's just like a very concentrated area, so I think most people who go there would be fine. Yeah,
and it's interesting how they'll blanket statement, that a whole region is dangerous, and so it's Ukraine as a whole is dangerous, and by the warnings here is I think we probably get the same things from the UK government saying, hey, this is a grade 3 or whatever it is that they say do not travel here, and then you go. And oftentimes, you do say, "Is okay, hey, this is so much safer than anywhere else that I would be, and even in the U.S. or maybe like central London, for example, I know is quite dangerous."
It's like we went to Lebanon together.
Yeah.
UK government website says Lebanon is like do not travel. Now it's obviously like a little bit it is getting a little bit worse. However, like when we went, it was still even like Sri Lanka, I think, said like don't go to Sri Lanka. It's like Sri Lanka is like one of the safest places I've been.
That's
It's
crazy.
just ridiculous. And then like ironically, the people who are like messaging me saying, oh, you know, are you sure you want to go to Nigeria? Are you sure you want to go to Afghanistan? And then the ones that are texting me, they're from London, and I'm like, I would feel more unsafe in London than I would in Afghanistan. That sounds like a crazy statement, but it's true.
It's absolutely true. Why do you think we keep receiving those messages of don't go to these places?
Obviously, the media is like a big part of it, and it's because it's like if, okay, I'm going to use an analogy.
Mhm.
So if someone is like swimming in like Australia and they get killed by a shark, usually there's a news story, and there's like it gets spread around word of mouth, like, oh, he got eaten by a shark. So obviously everyone's scared of sharks. However, hundreds and hundreds more people die from drowning, but that never makes the news because it's not as shocking. And so like it's the same thing. It's like the big news articles will come out of these countries like Afghanistan, like Nigeria, especially obviously during the wars, and so people are like really scared, and like it's not their fault that they're like worried about these countries, but you don't hear about like the little things that happen in the UK maybe, or like in, you know, just like general petty crime. But like I've said this, like there's 0% chance of a petty crime happening in Afghanistan. Like it's just doesn't happen at all. In London it's like every day.
Yeah, and it's not even just petty crime; it could be violence as well. And I think it's such an interesting perspective on. You hear probably more frequency of bad news in your home country, but you living there, going through the experience, you know that it's safe. So you look at these news stories for what it is as okay, hey, you know, this thing happened, but you know, this happened in this place, and it's not going to come and get me. It's not close by. Whereas the shark analogy that you just said is when it's fear, so it's easy to spread, and people latch onto that, and it's the one story. And so if you hear of a fearful story coming out of Lebanon or whatever that is, that now becomes your complete or understanding of that country from you being in another place that hasn't visited it. And so you think that everything there, every single event that happens there is going to be violent or crime ridden, and so you stay away for that reason.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like when I was younger, like I wanted to get like a trampoline, and my mum like heard a story of like some kid in our neighborhood like broke their foot on a trampoline, and she was like, "You're never getting a trampoline." And it's just like that. I'm sorry, Mum. Like obviously, you know, trampolines so dangerous, but what I'm trying to say is like you really have to not just take one person's opinion and really do the wide, like just look at the facts. Like before I went to Afghanistan, I actually Googled like how many people have died in this period of time, and I was just like, the law of averages, I reckon I'll be all right. And I'm alive.
He's still here.
Yep.
This could be heaven. You never know.
Oh shit, it's a good one.
Yeah, inshallah. Man, no, damn it, Mom. No, I definitely had similar experiences. It's really cool how much traveling can broaden your perspectives and how wild of a shift you can go from being in Birmingham to then moving your life to Dubai. I think that was the first real experience that you had of living abroad, or at least living abroad for the longest period of time. And then is that sort of where the vlogging days started for you? Is that in Dubai, and then you started getting after it? How did that play?
Yeah, so I was brought up in the hoods of Birmingham. No, I'm joking. I was brought up in a very small village, but essentially like during coronavirus time, I was definitely in a very painful spot and was not happy in life through a number of multiple different things going on, like personal and like in terms of work. I just hated my job, so I was just like I'm making a long story short here, is like I'm moving to Dubai. Like I didn't have much savings at all. I think I had like a couple of $1,000 savings, but we were stuck in lockdown, so I was like, I'm moving to Dubai. I have to get out of here, because Dubai was the only place that was like not locked down, and I knew one person in Dubai, so I was like, let's do it. And I just said I was going to do freelance videography, but I had no clients or anything, just like started from scratch. And that I loved that. Like I was my own boss for a little bit, and it was tough. Like a lot of hard work and not much pay, but I absolutely loved not having a boss and just being able to live in Dubai. And then the whole vlogging stuff happened because of Mr. Matt Candy, your cousin, and I was making like TikToks just for fun. He was making TikToks for his like travel content, and we both kind of were on each other's feed because we were both in Dubai. And then one of us like DM'd each other to ask for advice. I think probably I DM'd him, and then we met up, got on like really, really well, and then kept in contact. He kept inviting me to multiple trips he was going on. I didn't have the money at the time, so I kept postponing, and then I think he was like, right, last chance, you're going to come to Pakistan with me. And I was like, well, like, I've got to go. Like, I have to go. Luckily, it was like my best month of videography client work. Saved up like £4,000 to go on this trip with like no end dates, just like basically hopefully make some good videos. And he actually convinced me to make the GoPro RAW style. I was still doing it on my big cinematic camera. He was like, just try it. Tried it, and luckily Pakistan, we were like the first people to go to Pakistan, and it just like popped off. And then I just, from the day I first uploaded on YouTube, I then uploaded for like 8 to 10 months in a row.
Consistently.
Yeah.
Wow. A couple of things to dive in there. First, I want to jump into Pakistan. So I know you're very well known in Pakistan as well. And so whenever you put something up with there, you get it very well received. And I think from what I understand, is when you go to Pakistan as well, as you get recognized just about everywhere. How was that coming from essentially being anonymous in Birmingham and then going into where a whole entire country recognizes you? What was the experience of that?
It wasn't day like overnight, but that was for real, like absolutely surreal experience. Just like growing, I still remember like the first month of just growing on YouTube is just like the best. That was the most amazing time ever, just seeing they were small numbers, but they were just going up. And so for anyone who's like starting YouTube, just remember that like the first 1,000 subscribers are the best, and from then on the dopamine just doesn't really hit. Like even when I hit like 1.5 million subscribers on YouTube, I did zero dopamine at all, because you just get used to it. But yeah, like the love I have for Pakistan is just like unreal. Like I've just had some of the best experiences. I've been twice. I'm going for a third time in the next year, and I'm planning to. I can put this on the record now, because if I put it on the record, then I'll have to do it.
You have to.
And it's great. I want to build a school there to like, for two reasons, obviously, just because like I want to give back, but also just like to remind myself that like the journey started in Pakistan, and I owe it to the people, and just like, yeah, just have some really good friends there, and that country really means a lot to me.
That's incredible. And I know you did another fundraiser in Pakistan is when the floods hit, I think 2 years ago or 1 year ago, and you it was one of your challenges where you went without money for 24 hours, and walk us through that experience when you did that. How was that when you were with the Pakistani people?
Well, that video was like I feel like it was like the starting point of my new style of YouTube, where I really just like delved into quality, because like I told you, I was doing 10 months of quantity. Mm-hmm. And then I switched to quality, which is like a big tip for people. It's like, it doesn't have to be one or the other. Like you can, like I did, started with the quantity, and now I'm doing quality. But that video, it just goes to show like it was so easy to make. Like everyone was just like, free food, go for it.
Of course, come into our house,
yeah. So I wish it was kind of a little bit harder. But also those ones are like, I don't really make no money challenges anymore, just because they are quite. It was really hard for me to just ask someone who doesn't necessarily have a lot of material items to give me material items, but of course, but it was more for the just to show like it was the people are so hospitable there. Yeah.
No, it's really amazing, and I've heard many stories from you and seen many of your vlogs that show that. You're talking about, are you referencing something that you and I have talked about many times off camera? So. It's finding the equation of how much content to produce and what type of content to produce itself. And I know your journey started with actually your first video was on a GoPro that was really shaky when you went to South Africa with your buddies. And then it quickly transitioned into one that was more cinematic style. And then you kept going and you worked towards what you're doing now, more or less, but to a much rawer sense, as you were saying, of just vlogging videos and taking a camera out and just seeing what the hell happens. And now it's getting closer and closer to story. How does someone balance creating content that they love versus creating content that does well?
It's a tough one. It's a tough one. First of all, specifically in the travel niche, like this is for all YouTubers, because being a YouTuber is a very desirable job. However, it's not as glamorous as people think. You have to love making YouTube videos, and clearly, if I was a videographer, I loved making videos. But like a lot of people get into it for the wrong reasons, for money, and you're not going to last, because you have to love making it. And then even more so in the travel niche, because in the travel niche you have to constantly get flights, so many things go wrong. So you have to love travel for sure. And luckily I do. Luckily I still feel like I've got like 5 years at least left in me, maybe longer. I mean, to be fair, I'll keep traveling for the rest of my life. But in terms of
this type of travel, though, which is more intensive.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah. Like, I mean, I'm on the road I haven't even had a home base for the last 2 years. I've recently just got like a base, but like for the last 2 years, I've just been on the road. So it just is very different lifestyle and not easy, but I love it at the same time. What was the question again?
The question is, what's the challenge? How do you balance creating content that you love versus content that does well?
Oh, yeah. Yep. So I would say, like, I've said this before, but like you want to have like two semicircles. Like the first circle would be what you love creating. Mm-hmm. Second one would be what performs well, and you want to be in the intersection of both. I definitely would say I'm in that now, going to like more dangerous countries, and then sometimes I do a little bit of like girl videos just because like they perform well, and like basically I'm just trying to like document my life. Like I would probably be doing these things with girls anyway, so why not film it? People love it. And just like don't just try and grab the views. And it like I think one thing that a lot of creators, including myself, at least the first year, got wrong is like branding. And this is what my friend Luke Demant does really well. He's like a very strong brand. Like he doesn't take any like brand sponsorships. He's like very careful about like how he portrays his titles and thumbnails. Doesn't fake anything, and it's so like you can't see the results. You can't see the results from that, but like people appreciate that. And in the long term, when you do come to promote things, people are going to be a lot more receptive.
Yeah, and it sounds like that's a good way of establishing loyalty with an audience, because I think that's one of the most challenging things that I've heard you and Mac and Luke discuss, which is you create a lot of content that does extremely well in Pakistan, and then you move countries to the Philippines, and then those same folks might be interested in Harry, but only Harry in Pakistan.
Yep.
So how do you guys, as travel vloggers, how do you retain your audience as you shift country to country?
So for the first year and a half of me doing it, I wasn't really retaining much. I was jumping from India and I would get a lot of Indian views, and then I would jump to Philippines and get a lot of Philippine views, and it would be up down. The revenue would be fine, but it would just be so you would never know what's going to happen next. Whereas now, for probably the past year, it took like a long shift. I've now just been focusing on getting, I like to call it like red viewers versus blue viewers. Blue viewers are people who are like just want to watch you because, like an Indian viewer wouldn't want to watch you because you're in India. Whereas red viewers are like, I want to watch Rob because he's Rob and I want to watch him no matter where he is. Mm-hmm. And now I feel like I'm getting there. I'm definitely getting there. I now have like a majority US, UK audience, and you can see like consistent views, which is great for sponsors. And it's great for like just recurring revenue, and also just like peace of mind knowing that I could go to any country. I could go to Antarctica and the views would be the same. I mean, obviously like relatively. So yeah, just like it took a while to do that, and it's about like really pushing yourself, you got to realize that not every view on YouTube is created equal because of this thing called RPM, which is what the advertisers will pay to be on each video. But yeah, it took a while to get to that.
Yeah, and so when you're a travel vlogger, should you consider RPM or should you consider a different metric to when you're starting out?
I don't think when you're starting out, I don't think RPM should
and
be too
RPM
much.
just is revenue per minute? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Revenue per minute, I think so, yeah. It's basically like what the advertiser would pay to be on your video. And obviously, a US viewer, greatest country in the world, is is valuable because they have more money to spend on items, whereas like I'm not going to name other countries, but other countries,
England,
the United Kingdom,
boo,
Wales actually, they have less money to spend. Yeah. Therefore,
get a job. No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
A US viewer is worth more than, let's just say, a viewer from a low income country.
Yep.
So, but when I'm starting out, that's not in my. I would not say that's like should be in your head at all. Really, it should be more like, no matter where they are in the world, like how can I get them to watch every video, not just a video when I'm in X or Y country.
Yeah, and what would you say is more your style, getting closer to the equilibrium of the two semicircles? What is your style, or at least what is your ambition?
I'd say storytelling is like what I really, really excites me. I really want to like make people feel emotions and help people. Like, I watch a lot of self-development YouTube, but I never talk about it. My YouTube is purely entertainment. And so I'm not too sure whether it'd be possible for me to talk about helping people in my YouTube videos, but that would be, if I was to start again, or if I knew it was going to be successful, I would want to help people. I would want to like teach them whilst traveling. But unfortunately, I'm in the entertainment niche, and that's fine. Like I'm happy. Like I guess that's like my job. But I would like to like incorporate more of like helping people and stuff.
Yeah. I think the storyline that you were talking about, which is in every Hollywood movie, the hero's journey, it's so, there's so many lessons that do come from this. So I see a happy medium there. On that note, are there any notable fiction books or movies that have really impacted you?
Yes, but I've forgotten the name. Shawshank Redemption is my favorite movie. I'm not sure if I've like used it to incorporate into my YouTube, but it's just like something that it's just like my favorite movie by far. Like, doesn't even come close. And just like, I guess it is just like it's like a happy ending story. It's like everything's up against him. He has like so many problems. You think it's impossible he's gonna get out of jail. Don't want to spoiler alert, but he gets out, and then the ending is just amazing, and it just like phenomenal.
It makes it all worth it, the struggle.
Yeah.
What does that mean for you personally?
I guess it's a story about hope. So it reminds me that like no matter what happens in life, anything painful, anything negative, that you can always bring a positive from that, and you can always get out of that. I think that's what I believe anyway. And yeah, that's it.
I caught up with your brother Edward and your best friend George, who shared a lot of really great things about you. Quite a lot. They said they hate you, but they said a lot of incredible things, and they shared that you weren't always as confident as you are now. And so I told them, I said, I know Harry is one of the boldest people I've ever met in my life.
Liar.
Was he always like this? Was he always like this? And they say, no, it took him a while to build into that. And so is that story you tell with the Shawshank Redemption have anything to do with you getting into more confidence as knowing that, hey, I can actually speak on camera, I can go and travel the world and do all this?
Potentially, but I do love talking about this because I need to remind myself of like the journey I've been on, and like I was the least confident, maybe like 4 years ago, I was the least confident person in any room that you'd put me in. Like if you'd put me in this situation, I would have just completely probably pissed myself. But I love to tell this story because it's really, I hope this like inspires other people that like you might not piss yourself on a podcast. I would not recommend it.
God damn it, I'm out of water. Okay.
You want some?
No, it's okay. All right.
Yeah, it's like I really wanted to like inspire people that like you can improve your situation. Don't piss yourself.
All right, I need to hold it together. I don't know if I can have this job.
All right, I won't say that. I'll say.
No, keep going. We're putting this in.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Oh fuck yeah.
Raw dogging.
Yeah, like confidence is like a muscle. It's not something that you have or you don't have. I think people think it's something you have or you don't have. It's really is a muscle, and like I really just like I have this thing in my friendship group that like I at the time I was like not very confident, but I kind of used to say to them or like make it out like I was confident, and then they would be like, oh yeah, he's the most confident if we're like talking with girls or in a nightclub situation, and so that like them telling me I was the most confident would make me more confident, and then like it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And the same thing with YouTube is just like, if you see my first YouTube video, I'm so not confident, but you put the reps in. It's like going to the gym. 100 videos. I think I've done probably like 500 videos now, and like it's just a numbers game. It's the same with the gym. It's the same with anything, and it's just like that. Also, that skill has then trickled down into other areas of life, whether it be personal with girls or whether it be in the gym. Because I'm pretty fucking big. If you haven't noticed,
Yeah,
no. Like obviously, it just made me realize that you can, like, if you have the belief and the determination, then you can succeed in a lot of other things.
Yeah, go for it, and it's something like anything else that you can develop, and don't discount yourself as not being confident just because you weren't born with it. Like you said, is that there's little ways that you can improve it. So if you could take yourself back to before the vlogging days, what were those tiny things that you did in order to improve your confidence? Maybe nothing that was so large, but what was a small thing?
So like a big thing like is confidence on camera, and that's something that I definitely did not have. It's like I see people now, and they, when I put some people on camera, they freeze up. Someone who would be confident in a social situation, but then you put camera, and I realized it's like, why are they not confident on camera? And I used to be the same. So the thing I used to do is you have to like slowly work your way into it. So I would start off by, sounds weird, but start off by just sending voice notes. Like some people don't even like the sound of their own voice. So you send voice notes and you slowly get used to voice notes. Then I would send like a Snapchat video. Like I would send a Snapchat video to my friends, and it would look really weird when I'd watch it back. It's like, oh, like he's taking a video of himself, but you're slowly getting used to what you look like on camera, and then slowly and this is what I recommend to all people who are starting YouTube, is like, don't just go out in public and film straight away. Like, I mean, if you're confident, go for it, but like if you want to really work into it, just take these like steps, and then take a video on your iPhone in your bedroom alone, then take one in public, and then take one in with more people around. And now like I could vlog anywhere, like in public, without any difficulty.
The advice you gave me when I was talking about these early days, because this is episode number 5 of this, and
yes, the big 5.
Episode number 5, and I was sharing how already there's mistakes I see in the first few videos, and I'm posting these at a later date than they're recording, but we're gonna edit that out. I'm posting these later, and I'm looking back and I'm almost embarrassed to post my early videos, just because it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't pick up on that. I don't know why I did this in that certain way, or I wish I would have asked that question, so on and so forth. So for myself, this is a huge investment because there's another person on their side and there's a conversation and there's almost a requirement to put this in. But as a vlogger, do you recommend that you put every single video that you record out, or would you save a couple for yourself? Or how do you do those early steps?
I would say like post it, unless it's like really, really bad. But in your case, 100% post it,
Yeah.
100%. I mean, you should anyway, but definitely like if it's a decent video, like if you're happy with it at the time of filming, then post it, because you'll get one of the best things about YouTube is that you get feedback so quickly. Like if you're writing a book or something, you get the feedback like so far away, but you get comments as soon as you post. You get likes, you get to see people's reactions, so it can be very good for learning. That's one thing that I always say is like it's all about like reiterations. So like in your first episode, maybe you said something wrong or you were talking the wrong way, and then you just reiterate, and it's just multiple reiterations. And I reckon on your 100th episode, you'll look back at this episode and be like, damn, like it's terrible. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely terrible. Mm-hmm. But that's why you got to put the reps in. It's just so important. That's the best way to learn, more than you could speak to the best. You could speak to Joe Rogan, and you'll still learn more from just doing the podcast yourself.
That's incredible. Yeah, from actually putting in the efforts. Yeah, it's like you can learn so much from other people, but they won't give you the sauce. The sauce is you going and fucking making it. I caught up with Mac, my cousin, and one of your mentors.
What an idiot. No, I'm joking. I love it.
I caught up with Mac, and he said one of the most unique things about you is you're going to feel bad now. One of the most unique things about you is your ability to absorb and learn everything around you and implement it so extraordinarily fast. He says he's never seen anyone move as fast as that. So I'm curious, do you have a specific learning process that you implement?
Well, I didn't know that, to be honest. I'm very appreciative, but I'd say probably the one thing that puts me apart from other people is the hours that I'm willing to put into something. So I think it's just a case of just like the quantity of research and stuff that I'm doing. There's only one person who I know that I've ever met that works harder than me, and that's Matt Candy. He works so hard, and yeah, I also would say I just put in more hours than the regular person. So like in terms of learning, I just would watch a YouTube video, maybe of the destination that I'm going to, and then write notes, how can I make this in my own way? How can I improve this? Really mind map it. And one thing that I do, which other people don't do probably, is I literally just stare at a wall and have zero distractions, phone and laptop out of the way, and just really just think how can I make this video better? And it usually is that's where I get most of the ideas. And
do you have a specific time of day you do that, or when you encounter a blocker, what triggers you to go and look at the wall?
Usually it's just usually just evenings. I'm very self-aware that I spend a lot of time on technology, always on laptop and phone. So I really push myself to turn off electronics, and so it's I'm kind of meditating and also thinking of YouTube video ideas at the same time.
As you grow in fame, it's very easy for ego to get out of hand, and if you don't implement the right amount of self-reflection, like it says you're you're doing, then your ego can get even more out of hand. How is it that you balance humility as you have millions of people that are subscribing to you? And the reason why I'm asking this now is how your relationship is with social media as a YouTuber. This is where you produce content, but at the same time, is if you look too much into this, you don't get the time to self-reflect. So how are you maintaining a humble aspect, and what is your relationship with social media? Two-part question.
That's a great question. That is a very great question.
Thank you.
You're a great podcast, young man.
Yes.
No, I would say it's tough, really, really tough, because I think, when I do get recognized in public, it is kind of it boosts you. It's nice. And I really try and after I'm no, can't, chill the fuck out. No, it's nothing. But I do think that probably I have like I've always had imposter syndrome in everything I do, and I think that probably helps because even when something like getting noticed in public happens, the imposter syndrome comes in and it's like, nope, like you're not, it's just one person, you're just you're overreacting. So I think that probably does keep me somewhat humble, but it's just always just like realizing I see YouTube, I see the whole thing as just a video game, and I don't really care about being famous at all. I'm just trying to make a good life for me and my family, and make good videos, and I don't really care about that. Like obviously there are times where the numbers do get a little bit like overwhelming in terms of like you want more. Like obviously the way that YouTube is set up makes you want to have more, but I always just try and when I hit a goal, like 1 million subscribers or something, I just see it as like I've hit milestone in like a video game or something. Like I don't really, it's just a number. It literally is just a number. It's completely arbitrary, and I tell myself that it's like it really does mean nothing. But obviously at the same time you got to be thankful, and so it's a hard balancing game. And what was the other part of the question?
So, and what's your relationship with
social media
in this?
Yeah, like I would say somewhat toxic. I don't have TikTok. I've never had TikTok on my phone, even though I have like 700k followers. That's completely outsourced. So for me, TikTok is like I hate that app absolutely. Joking, I love TikTok. I love China, but Instagram also probably is like I struggle with Instagram. So I go through like I'll delete it for 5 days and download it for 5 days. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I would say like it's probably just like not having it on my phone is probably the best thing. For me, if I delete something, then I won't go on it. So sounds like a quite strict thing to do, but that's the way I do it.
It's removing temptation.
Yeah.
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 But deliver us from evil. No, it's.
What did you say? I don't know what you said.
It's part of a prayer, I think. But deliver us from evil.
Yes. Do you want to say the whole prayer?
I would, but I forgot it all.
Yeah, me too. But I recognize it.
Yes, it's there. So, yeah, you said in the first part of that question, so a couple of things that you do in order to balance humility, and it sounds like it's a lot of self-talk on keeping yourself humble. So actionably saying, hey, chill out. There's all these people who recognize you, but relax. You're still Harry Jaggard. And the other one is an interesting one where you have imposter syndrome. And so that alone might lead questions that are, what is the questioning? When you have imposter syndrome, and it sounds like you still have it today, what is that you feel?
I think it's just like a case of just I've always just been like I'm not worthy of this of this like situation that I'm in. It's like I just got here by luck, or that's how I feel. I got here by luck, or like I was just like I was just lucky, and so there's like it's actually good and bad. It's like good because it keeps me humble, but obviously it's bad because it makes me work even harder, and then just like I completely outwork myself. But now I would say in terms of being a content creator, I do believe I am worthy, but still in areas like of business and just other areas of life, I do have that. It does creep in, but I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing actually.
No, it's quite normal, and it's always reassuring, no matter who it is, that everyone has some form of imposter syndrome. It keeps you human. And it also keeps things quite exciting, because I think it's often talked about where you don't want to be skating along. If you do that, then you're not learning anything. And if you're going to a new place, then you're expanding your intelligence, your knowledge, your understanding of the world, and you're growing. So no, I think it can be a good thing in many ways. Too much of it, of course, will ruin you. So it's an interesting way of balancing that. Do you still have forms of imposter syndrome that are so intense that they push you down, or was that ever anything that existed in the early days that you had?
Yeah. When I had my office job, like I was just like, you're not supposed to be here. Like I was just like, it was just taking over. So I was just like,
So you had more imposter syndrome, which might be better said as negative self-talk within, well, I guess the same thing, negative self-talk at your job, which was the finance job, but not in the early days of
I
content
did
creation.
also in the early days, but I think it was just like I was just like working so hard that I didn't really think about it too much. And luckily, like the friendship group that I've had in the content creation world has also been like super helpful and supportive in that. But definitely at the start, I also had it. Yeah.
It exists, yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite fascinating that it was there in the finance job so much that might have been fuel to kick you out into this, and then you had it. And it sounds like there were two recipes for how you battled imposter syndrome. It was community and keeping yourself busy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, community has been incredible. This is like one thing why I love Bali, and I think you also love Bali. It's just like, it's not really about where you are, it's about who you're with always. And in Bali, it's just like an amazing community of people who keep you in check, whether it's in fitness or in business. And yeah, it's specifically in the content creators, I just like have been so lucky to have the guys, the three guys, Mac, Ali, and Luke, who have just like made me, number one, see further, like push myself. We all like push each other, as well as also just like enjoying the good times and not doing it alone, because traveling alone can be really hard and lonely. I personally absolutely love traveling alone, but there's also times where I just like, it's been really hard. You know, you're in a really tough country and you're on your own, and it's just not nice. So knowing that you've got these like meetups with the guys is just like game changer. It's made the whole process probably better. Like I've probably grown so much more because of it as well.
I believe it, and I recently left a tech company where my goodbye message was something very similar, and I never thought or felt that I would ever be working in tech, and yet there I was working as an executive in this tech company, and I remember constantly feeling imposter syndrome and feeling like I shouldn't be there. But I realized at some point is that if everyone around you believes in you so much, then it's probably about time that you believe in yourself. And it sounds like this is the same thing with that group of guys.
Yep.
What role do mentors play in addition to just the positive encouragement that they have like that?
I think just like one thing that people don't realize about having a mentor or having someone in the same realm as you is like, if they're doing slightly better than you, you don't even have to speak about it, but just knowing that they are doing better makes you realize that you can do better. Like, not in like a competitive way, but in just like, oh, I didn't even realize that was possible. Like that some of the success that I've seen other people having is I didn't even comprehend that was possible at the time. So that's one way. And then the other way is obviously just like them speaking through things with you, just having those people that you can always count on. And then like it's kind of like a lot of the stuff I've learned has just been through just spending time and not necessarily asking questions, but just seeing how other people work. Like it's just been absolutely a game changer, and it's definitely like propelled my growth being around those guys. And like, yeah, I owe everything to those guys. They wouldn't be anywhere. Well, without Mac, I literally would still be I would be a videographer. So like, I literally would be nothing. But also, aside from that, I would also just be, such a struggling creator if I was just doing it on my own, I think.
That's incredible. No, it's really cool the absorption of everything, just being around it, and then you never know how high the ceiling is unless you keep looking around. And if you see someone doing that, it's admiration that you have instead of resentment of, oh, why did they deserve it? So positive feelings all around. And in regards to mentors, I was talking with Mac a lot about this conversation I was going to have with you. And in the early days, he told me to ask about Hunza, Pakistan, and the period around Hunza.
That's none of your business, actually. No. Hunza was like very much a turning point in the creator period. I went there with Mac. That was on the first trip, I believe. So that was when I really didn't have any subscribers, but I was just starting to get a few. And then we went to this place in Hunza, which is like northern Pakistan, and it was winter, so it was the most cold I've ever been in my life. And we were staying in accommodation that was just like completely no heating at all. And then I was also having to daily upload and like edit everything myself and post and film. So it's just like.
How many days into the trip was this?
That was the last.
This is the last.
I don't know how long the trip was. I want to say like 2 to 3 weeks, and it was at the end. So I was every bad emotion I had, but me and Mac just both were pushing each other. We were like, no, we have to capitalize on this. We have to do it. And like I told you, Mac is the hardest working person. So he would be up at 6 a.m. every day. He would wake me up. He'd be like, we're gonna vlog today. We're gonna go. And I'd be like, no, I don't want to go to school. No, I don't want to vlog. But he just like that's Mac, and he's just like pushes me when I needed it. And I'm so grateful. Those are the videos that started my whole career. So that's I look back with fond memories, and that also Hunza is just like incredibly beautiful place of Pakistan. People think of Pakistan, they think of like a dirty street, but they don't see that like it's one of the most beautiful places.
Yeah,
in the north.
It is really stunning, and it's such a cool thing to hear about, that it was boot camp, as Mac often refers to it, of when you guys went there, vlogged every day, uploaded every day, and just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed.
Yeah. And sorry to
go ahead.
There's another thing is like, this is another thing that vloggers who are starting out don't realize is like, you have to really create so much content. You have to, like, it's not easy. You can't just, people expect they're gonna make like 10 videos and then it'll go viral. Like I was lucky, like, because I had Mac as a mentor and stuff, and I was in Pakistan at the right time after COVID. But even so, for the 99% of vloggers, you have to put the reps in, and people just think there's like a shortcut to it. But like, Mac is a perfect example. He made videos with so many not performing as well as he wanted to way before he met me, and then he got his success. And it's just like, you have to work hard. That's like bottom line. You have to work hard. Yeah,
no, it truly is. And I was so fortunate to see Mac's journey personally along with him, and the stages there were tremendous. And I know he saw so much in you, and you guys had such an incredible journey as well. In regards to the luck of just being in place with Mac, because you certainly put in so much work to get there, how is it that you replicate the luck of getting in touch with a mentor in the same way that you were in touch with Mac for someone who's just starting out? Is that something that's an easy recipe to do? How do you
fairly
do that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I reached out to Mac. So like, first of all, you have to DM people. Like, you can't just expect like Bill Gates to just be like, let's work together.
You have a computer? Come to my house.
So first of all, you have to DM people. Obviously, if someone DMs me, if someone watches this video and DMs me, like, chances are there's a low probability of me replying unless it's something of like value. So if they're like a larger creator, just because like I'm getting a lot of DMs, so if they're a larger creator, you have to offer value. So if I was starting out, I would give someone a video idea, or if I have a video idea, I would give it to a larger creator. So you're offering them value, and then in the hopes that they would also reciprocate. But for me and Mac, we were somewhat on a similar level. So like, if I was starting out, I would find someone on a similar level of their journey, and then get to know them, and also just like, as soon as I met Mac, I knew that he was going to be like a successful creator just because of his like insane personality. But in terms of replicating that, I would just be like, you just gotta meet new people, network, and this is where coming to places like Bali will be so good. You meet just new people every day, and you'll connect with some, and you'll find your group, and then go on from there.
Yeah, it sounds like building community is one of the biggest components of it. And would you suggest to any first-time vlogger, medium-time vlogger, who doesn't live in Bali or anywhere else that has a high concentration of this, say that someone's living in the capital of Wales, and
Don't say that in front of me. I love whales, by the way. I love whales.
I love whales too, and orcas. Ooh. And would you suggest that they leave their home, any small town? Would you suggest that they leave and then come to a place like Bali, or is there other ways that they could build community?
Absolutely 1,000,000% yes. There's nothing wrong
To moving?
to moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, stay. Never leave. No. Like if I don't even want to know what I would be like if I was still living in my village now. And like there's nothing wrong with doing that. There's absolutely nothing wrong. But if you want to become a travel creator, or if you want to just become a content creator, there's so many content creators who aren't doing travel here. It's just like travel people, there's so many people who, like my friends from home, who don't really understand what it's like to learn from travel, because they go on holidays and we aren't going on holidays. We're literally like, it's like a journey. You put in so many situations where you have to problem solve. You put in situations where you have to learn. You're speaking to people in different languages, and you just like, and then seeing people in poor conditions, you get gratefulness, and so it's just like, it's one of the best things to do for learning. If I was, when I bring my children up one day, I'm definitely going to make them travel at some point, do like a gap year. I think gap years are great. Obviously, there are gap years where you just go and black out in Thailand, and that's probably not the best. I would consider it again. But no, I would say, just going on a journey around Asia and meeting new people is going to be incredible for your future. So yeah, 100%. Bali, great place. Like, you'll meet so many new people. Like, if someone was wanting to like reach me, like, just come to Bali. Like, it's so easy. Obviously, I'm saying it's so easy. It costs like thousands, but you just save up the money. Like, obviously, this is another thing that I get like probably some backlash for, is like, it's easy for me to say these things, obviously, because I come from a developed country, and it is like, obviously I had a better or a nice upbringing, but I still think that you have to take responsibility for everything, and no matter where you're born in the world, you can still make a good life. It's definitely harder, for sure. It's harder in some countries than others, but that doesn't mean that it's not possible. And so that means that when you do get to the successful level, it will be even sweeter if you come from a poorer situation.
Yeah, and I think there's also different measurements of success, as well as, and also just within that is, don't ever compare externally. Comparison should always be within yourself, because you know obviously where you came from, but there's going to be someone that's always better. There's always someone who has more material goods, has more viewers, followers, blah blah blah. But success across the world is incredibly different, and yeah, you can always make your life better through reflection and improvement in that way. Awesome.
I couldn't agree more.
Yes.
I think that like with the social media nowadays, it's so easy to just compare yourself to others, and that's also probably like I do also compare myself to others on occasions, but like, yeah, it's like constant self-talk. I have like affirmations, and I visualize, and if I have negative thoughts, people think it's like, oh, wishy-washy spiritual shit, but it's true. Like, if 100% true, you can see the results. Like, it's constantly every day just self-talking and telling yourself, like, I'm comparing myself to who I was, not to others.
Yeah. Where did you start to implement this, or how did you start to implement the self-talk?
So like, I've been on a self-development journey probably for like the last 3 years. Like, I used to absolutely like gobble up self-development books. Like, if my whole YouTube homepage is just, that's all I watch is self-development. I'm not saying that's a good thing. Like, it's probably a bad thing that I watch so much self-development, and I'm trying to figure out why. Maybe I should go speak to a therapist about why, but I'm constantly obsessed with improving myself, and it's obviously shown in the YouTube part. I think that's probably a lot of my growth has come from just consuming this knowledge about entrepreneurship and about growing. But yeah, no, like, it can, a lot can be learned from that, and I would say like definitely it's self-development is great, but there's also like there is like a negative side to it, is probably over consuming it, and at the end of the day it's all money. It's all to earn money, especially books and courses. So you got to be careful, but like you can take it with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, there's so much shit out there. So many courses, so many things that promise you to be X, Y, and Z. How do you narrow this down? What are the top 3 pieces of information that you received, or sources of information?
You mean in terms of what to consume, or the actual pieces of information?
Well, let's see what to consume first.
Okay, so what to consume, I'd say you can't go wrong with like the top recommended books. So just like Google search or YouTube search top self-improvement books.
What were the 3 for you?
The Almanac of Naval Ravikant jumps out at me. The Bible. No, I'm joking. The Atomic. This is such a cliche one, but Atomic Habits.
It's incredible.
It's just like a classic.
Yeah, it's a great book.
And
Goodnight Moon.
I've never heard of that book in my life. My brain's gone blank.
It's the second time I've tried to make that joke work on this podcast, and both times the person
Can I
said
look
no.
at my,
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just going to Google top self-improvement books. No.
Please, we're live. We're live,
Oh,
San
okay.
Francisco.
Don't worry. I can't remember off the top of my head. But
While you're thinking of it, while you're racking your brain, so what are the? So it sounds like you
Pieces of
had
information.
pieces of information that were best for you. Yeah. What were, maybe not in order, but what are some that come to you right now?
The two main attributes for success are, I'm not sure what book this is from, but belief and determination. If you combine those 2 things, like you will succeed. And belief is like a big one for me. It's like believing that you can be a YouTube creator, believing that you can grow in the gym, for example, or just belief. And then determination, like / hard work. They come under the same thing. It's like it's just a like phenomenal success way of gaining success.
When we talk about belief, so a lot of it is, you could, I think the synonym is purpose, essentially. And it feels like the determination comes after belief, I think is what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
How does one find the purpose? How does one strip away all of the bullshit that they're doing? And how does one replicate the story of living in Birmingham, working a finance job, and understanding that there was something more out there?
That's the number one question. That's such a hard question. I would say I was somewhat lucky. I'm trying to think how it happened to me. I think I would say mine came from pain, from like the pain of just having a shitty life. Like girlfriend broke up with me, COVID came, was just living in my parents' house, literally doing nothing because I couldn't leave the house. So like that pain resulted in me just pushing myself to find something. And obviously I can't say, oh, well, just go through pain. Like pain doesn't just come out of nowhere, but you need to go through some kind of struggle to, it's like any character story, like you have to go through struggle to realize what your purpose is. But like if I was trying to give advice on how to find purpose, I would just say like probably get off technology and spend time on your own looking at the wall. Sounds stupid, but it works. And just really think about like, what do I want to, what makes me happy, and what can I get really good at? Like, it doesn't have to be, aside from YouTube creation, like all you need to do is get really good at one skill. Like it can be editing, could be graphics, could be code. All you need to do is get really good, and you can make so much money and have like a life that you enjoy, and freedom.
Yeah. It sounds like a lot of it can come from learning a skill that is valuable to the world, and then from there might be other things that interest you, other things that give you energy. I've heard it mentioned a lot of times is that when you think of options, or if you are fortunate to have options, then whatever path gives you the most energy is oftentimes one that you should pursue.
Yeah.
With that dynamic, I think some folks might read it wrong as I have bad days. And I imagine that you have bad days in YouTube where you don't have the energy and you don't want to fucking do that. And but how would you apply that towards pursuing something when you first start out? Is it?
Yeah, I would agree with what you said. Like, what gives you energy, also what gets you in the flow state. So the flow state is where time just goes quicker than normal. So for me, I'm completely in the flow state when I'm either filming or when I'm actually on my laptop editing. Like, I'll look at the time and it's been 4 hours past and I feel like there's been 2. So what activities do you do that time passes very quickly? That's a very big indicator of something that you should be following. If that's not happening, then you just need to try new things. Like, so many people in their 20s are just doing like a 9 to 5, not trying anything new. And like, before I was doing videography, I tried multiple businesses that failed. Like, it wasn't just like videography was the first thing. I did like a online e-commerce business. It was terrible. And did like other little small like lawnmower cleaning, like gardening jobs, very small, and just like none of them were like, I can never see myself pursuing that. And then I found videography, and it was just like a spark. It's just like I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I loved the whole process and perfecting a video, and so that was it.
Yeah, whatever brings you passion, whatever brings you energy. I love it. So we're in a digital age where it is harder and harder to not be off of social media, but there's also so much value that comes from being on different socials. So with that, why should someone build a brand around themselves?
An online brand or
an online brand? So let's say a social media presence, say a personality like you.
Yeah, like, it's not for everyone, that's for sure. Like, don't get me wrong, it's definitely not for everyone. But I think now is like a gold mine for social media content, because there are like, it's a form of leverage. This is like from the book that I just mentioned, is like the leverage. There's 4 types of leverage: code, media, capital, and employees. And media is the I'm using multiple, but media is the big one that I'm using. Media is such a good form of leverage because I'll make a video, this video for example, and then it can be played thousands and thousands of unlimited amounts of time, and then it's just like that's a way of creating leverage. So it's such a great form of reaching so many people, creating wealth as a result of that, and more and more brands are turning to influencers for marketing. Like, my brand sponsorships is like, it's slowly increasing as a like, if you were to take a pie chart of my revenue, the brand sponsorships are starting to increase, which means that like brands are really seeing influencers as a form of marketing. And it's true, like, I get a lot of people, affiliate links, like signing up because of the brands that I'm promoting. So it's just like a great time to build wealth through social media.
Totally. And when you say that anyone can take responsibility for their circumstances, social media is such an avenue to take that, because everyone has a smartphone for the most part. And if you are in worse circumstances, you could always start a channel that you see valuable that then could replicate and make money while someone sleeps. On the opposite end of that, why should someone not do that?
Someone should not do that if they... I would just say, like, certain personality are just not, like, you know, like, if you don't have the desire to be on camera, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, some people, you know, everyone has different things. Like, I don't like some sports that some people like. It's just, like, personal preference. Yeah, and I don't know, because that's a hard question for me to answer, because I probably would have said 5 years ago that I wouldn't be made for YouTube. So, but I am made for YouTube. Like, I love it. Like, it's like the perfect job for my skill set. So it's a hard question to answer. But I guess it's just like the inkling you have if you want to lean into it. I did always watch YouTubers, like I used to watch our friend Louis before I was a YouTuber, and I used to kind of be like, that would be sick. But obviously I guess everyone thinks that.
Yeah.
So
no, that is really interesting. It's something that you don't know if you might necessarily love, which is anything, until you give it a shot. And there's so many different levels to YouTube that are always being discovered of, okay, hey, there's this new avenue that opens up more doors, or there's this something else that I can be more anonymous with the content I create. So another reason for testing it out and then deciding for yourself.
Yeah.
Awesome.
If I was to like, your ideal, like your 20s should be to just try every single thing, like every side hustle, side quest. Obviously, it's easier said than done. Like I didn't try everything, but like your 20s really are, you're allowed to just mess up and have fun, and then your 30s, you gotta get your shit together.
Oh shit.
Just like just don't take. I think this is what me and you both have in common, is that we don't take life seriously. Like we can have this is like perfect. We're like having a very serious conversation, and every 5 minutes we're just like like just completely like acting like kids, and that's what life is about.
It is. I think it is, man. It's always about, you need to have fun. Also, I remember, so in my previous employer, there's oftentimes folks, I think, made it a little bit more serious, and I started to take myself a little bit too seriously as well. And then I remember like, oh shit, no way. Like I love to have fun. I love to, make jokes and all that stuff. And if you don't invite more fun and play into your life, then you will be miserable. And you can always go through your day laughing, and your day is always better when you laugh and you make jokes. So actually, I have some interesting things here. I watched a lot of your YouTube videos, and I have a couple quotes that I pulled, I think, from there. And so, just wanted to run through these. I think they're fun. So the first one is, I don't always go for lady boys, but when I do, I don't half-ass it. So I'm just curious, what did you mean by that?
No comment. I'd like to plead the fifth, please.
Okay.
I don't always go for lady boys, but when I do, I what?
I don't always go for, and I quote, I don't always go for lady boys, but when I do, I don't half-ass it.
I did not know I said that, but I think a lot of people have come to me, like other YouTubers, and be like, you're crazy, like for making that video, because like I would never make that video. But personally, this just goes to show, like I really don't give a fuck what people think of me. Obviously, in reality, I do to some extent. Everyone does, but like I don't care like what you think about that video. Like I'm just trying to make a video documenting about what it's like to be a ladyboy. I don't care if you're like pro or con. It's just
an experience. Someone's living it. Let's go see what's happening.
And the video did well. So like obviously I'm not gay. Obviously I'm not gay. I like women, but
there's men in that.
But on the weekends, what I'm trying to say is like like I don't know why, I don't know what was going on with that quote, but that video was just like a fun video. I had so much fun on that video. She was a lovely lady, and like it's just to show like I just make content that I'm like, oh, ladyboy video, like that would be fun.
It'd be really interesting.
I'm just I follow my curiosity whether it takes me.
Yeah, and it's good that you don't let any judgment or perceived judgment stop you, because that would be really lame. And obviously there's a couple 100,000 views, if not over 1 million. So clearly the world also sees value in that. And so, I think it's often things that people maybe judge are also the ones they're most curious about too, which is really interesting. That like people are very mean and judgmental, yet the whole world's eyes, or a good segment of the eyes, is curious about seeing that. So that's a good lesson in life, is never make decisions out of fear. Just be curious whenever fear arises.
Exactly.
Awesome. So another one here. So the only erectile This
is where I really need to rethink what I say in my videos.
Yes, you do. So the only erectile
Give it, go for
Yeah,
it.
this is a tough one. The only erectile dysfunction I have is being erect in this function.
That's a lie. These are made up.
It says your name right
I
here.
never said that.
It says
Oh.
your name. It says Harry Jaggard right here, so I'm very curious. What made you say such a thing?
You got me, you little. No.
Do you have any other things to add here, or what did you mean by that?
Imagine if I was just like, for the ladyboy, I was like, yeah, I do. I know I didn't say that, but I'm like, yeah.
Are you sure it's written on a piece of paper?
I'd go hard with ladyboys. Someone's going to clip that now. Great.
I hope so.
Brilliant.
But these actually are real. They have your name on it. So, awesome.
Can I take that to court? Can we take that to court?
Ladyboy Court, yes.
Okay. Ladyboy Court.
Yes, it's in Bangkok. Wonderful. So you have many different directions that you've gone, and now I know that you have such a love for
Ladyboys.
cinematography, ladyboys, and erections and dysfunction. So where is it that you want to take everything next? Where is the next thing for you for content?
I'm glad you asked this question, because I've been waiting for it. This is the big reveal. Ladies and boys, I'm making an OnlyFans. No, I'm kidding, guys. No one wants to see that. But
1,000 likes and you'll drive from London to Thailand, or 1,000 likes and you'll create an OnlyFans. Do you know what I'm referencing in that video?
Yes, very old video.
Your first vlog.
How do you know about that?
Because I watched it.
Oh,
I did my
wow.
research.
Was that my first ever video?
That was your Dubai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is context. I've always wanted to do an epic road trip from London to like a long, I don't know exactly where, like Australia, because it is possible, or at least like to Bangkok, because you know why. But we've never made it happen, and I've been speaking to Rob for a while about it. So I've always wanted to do that. So that is on the horizon. It's like that would be a life-changing event. But I need to think about how I can create content like properly around that. But for me, the next stage is, I think the main reason I've done so well, and this is something I haven't spoken about, but the main thing that I've done well is because I focused on one thing. And actually, this is the other piece of advice that I got from books, which has been so helpful, is just focus on one thing. And it's just been making YouTube videos. I didn't like TikTok outsourced, Facebook is all outsourced. And so many starting creators, they're always focusing on all four at the same time. And I'm like, you're spreading your brain power that 25% each way. Mine is 100% on YouTube, and that's why my YouTube videos do well. So focus on one thing, and I've forgotten the other one, but yeah, I'm going to continue making the best YouTube videos. I'm not thinking about selling products. Like right now. That's not a priority. Making good YouTube videos, making better YouTube videos, storytelling, going to crazier places, doing crazier things, without breaking the law, and yeah, just having fun at the same time.
I love it. That's a great roundup of things to do next. And I like it's so easy to not stay singular, especially when success comes your way. Like you want to do all these other things and you want to do that. And it makes sense. You always hear about diversifying anything just so you have more security. But when you double down on what it is that you're good at or what it is that you love, then there's tons of it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of where it is that you want to go.
Yeah.
That's great. Wonderful. Are there any last tidbits you'd like to leave for my audience of 40 million?
I don't want this interview to be published online. Imagine. No.
Blacklisted.
I want to say a big shout out to this man here. I wanted to ask you some questions. I want to do a podcast with you because like you inspire me, and you are like such an incredible person that you're asking me all the questions, but I want to ask you the questions. So yeah, like how did you get all of this wisdom? You know, you're only a few years older than me. Obviously, you've worked a job and stuff, but like, where did you get this experience and wisdom from? Because you're such a good conversationalist.
Oh, thank you. I think a lot of it.
He's got a gun under he's got a gun under the table, just pointing.
Go on. What else?
Talking.
So you ask the questions. No, I think a lot of it comes from my dad And I think there's like nature versus nurture. And I think a lot of this is inherited from my dad, who inherited it from his father, and everyone in that line is so incredible at communicating. You can talk to anyone that they see, and they always make a joke, and they always have a story for something. And so that, I think I inherited it from my father, and I also learned and saw him do that. And then I think in many circumstances, I've probably gone through a lot of hard things from a young age. And then due to going through things at hard things at a young age and not ever having solved those, I think, so you could call it some form of trauma, and then that showing itself in my early adult and then now my adult life put me through challenging circumstances that I needed to face in order to go back there. And I think that any trial by fire, like you were saying, will give you tons of lessons to learn. And I know, similar to you, I've always had a love for introspection. I've always had a love for building yourself into a better person. And I inherently believe in if you want to change the world, then you start with yourself. That's not a quote that can be attributed to me, but I'll take the credit. But it certainly is one of those things that if you want to have impact, then you can start on yourself. And if you want to understand another person, you can start with yourself.
So last question, what advice would you give to someone who's like in like a struggling situation? Maybe they're working like a 9-to-5 they hate, but they haven't had that. It's like, there's a thing called beta region paradox. Chris Williams.
My friend Dylan talk about this so much.
Yeah. And I see a lot of people in the UK are in the beta region paradox, where it's basically like, I might say this wrong, but like you're floating through life with nothing super bad is happening. You're just like, you got a decent wage, like you're just doing, you're just maybe above average wage. You've got maybe like a girlfriend and stuff, but like nothing's terrible. So you don't need to change anything. You don't have to change anything. Whereas something that I went through, which was tremendous pain, or it's relative. Like I didn't go through like huge trauma, but it's relative. Like I was going through pain, and it sounds like you also were somewhat going through pain. So we made something happen to get out of that. But if you're going through this like nice, comfortable period, nothing will happen. So what would you say to someone who is like kind of just floating through life?
I know that's really tough, because I think in many circumstances I've floated through life, and I think I believe in things like karma, and I believe things like the universe is acting completely in your favor, just even if it is shit that comes your way. And so part of me thinks that should you not be in the right circumstances, then either if you don't kick yourself out of that, the world will deliver a lesson in some form, and I don't know which is harder. Typically, I end up falling in the world delivers lessons to me, and so it's really intense, and it's sobering, but it's also so humbling, and it's wonderful. But if you're in a circumstance where you are floating along, you're in the beta paradox, and I think, and I'm actually quoting someone who I'll have on the podcast in 2 episodes, Anne Marie. Comfort is poison. Comfort is poison. So if you recognize that you are in that place of stagnancy and comfort, then you should remind yourself that this is not the state that I should necessarily always be in. And I'll reference another quote from a really good friend of mine, Spencer Gradley, who said, "Be uncomfortable today so that you can be comfortable tomorrow," which is perpetual. You never be comfortable today. You just always are uncomfortable so that you get in there. And then I think it's always asking yourself, do I know everything? And you should fucking say no. You should never say, I know everything about this. You can say, I know a lot, but I don't know everything. And when you do that, it then begs the question, how do I figure it out? How do I learn the next thing? And then that might push you to go and explore. It might push you to open up a book. And then, constantly learn. I mean, the mission of this podcast, so one of the most wonderful things of the community that you're talking about is I'm jumping into y'all's community. I'm using you, Mac, and Luke tremendously for support and advice in this. And I swung the idea around y'all with the mission. But the mission behind this whole podcast is to never stop learning. And it's just always about, like, the whole purpose of this is just to talk to people, hear from them, and learn. And that's it. That's all I want to do. And I just want to talk to fascinating folks, hear about their lives, and dig into the complexity that every human has, So every person is so fascinating. Every person has a story, and every person has so much under the hood. And many times you look under the hood and you see the beauty that person is always also experiencing or has experienced something that you've gone through, positive or negative. And so you see this beautiful reflection of you, and then you can take that back home and you can sit with yourself in a wonderful way that then brings love back into the world. And yeah, I think there's so much to be gained with always looking for more and being curious.
Yeah, it sounds like you were made for this, like, and also like a big sign that you are made for this is like, if you can carry on making podcasts without like expecting any revenue, or like if there was just no prospect of revenue on the table, and you just do it because you love it. And it sounds like you do love it, because like even you talking about it, like this conversation has been so enjoyable, even though we have these conversations every night. But just like having it in more of a formal setting has been really fun. And so I can imagine speaking to people that you don't know very well, who are in completely different doing completely different business. I guess you probably learn so much, and it's just like, it's a pretty cool job.
It's incredible. I just have to so I'm doing nothing other than this, and this has been 2 weeks going, and there are moments where I'll hear from. So the research I like to do beforehand is I dig into someone's life entirely, and then I come up with the idea of, okay, how could the conversation go, and I map out a couple questions, and then in order to make those conversations even better, I ask for friends and family of all of these people, and then I ask these questions to folks, and then like I think what is so wonderful is you hear the things that people say that are friends and family about someone that they really care about in life, and so you get to hear just such amazing things that bring you so much joy and gratitude and love, and you realize how special and unique this person is, and then you get to take it into that conversation, and then you get to reference these things about that person's life. And I think what's so great about this, and with folks that you do know and that you don't know, is one is all these conversations I'm coming away feeling a high that I've never felt, and the speaker on the other end is saying the same thing. And I think what it is there's such a yearning for everyone to feel some form of being understood by the world. So here I have this incredible opportunity to sit down with someone for a long form. I get to prep the conversation beforehand to do as much research about that person. What are the hard things that they've gone through? And then come out on the other end. What are the successes that they've made in life? What shit has thrown at what has life thrown at them, shit or whatever, and then being able to understand how they tick, and the resilience behind it, the beauty behind it, and I think that on the other side, when you feel that deeply understood from someone, you expand. You're grateful. You have a mindset of abundance and love, and so it's another world like this. I cannot imagine a more wonderful thing to do.
That's insane. The way you describe it is insane, and also just like so commendable how much research you've put in. Like that's that is like half the job as well. It's just like putting in that time before can probably be. I'm sure it can be a little bit like can be a little bit annoying.
Exhausting.
Yeah, for sure. Like, but it's so worth it.
It is. No, it can be really exhausting in the sense of you never know how a conversation like this goes. And I have like a lot of essentially the questions that we went through here. They don't go in order. They never do.
Yeah.
But they're all ones that I think are very fascinating about the individual, and then jumping from one to the other, and trying to map out. This is a 24-year-old man, or this is a 30-year-old woman, like whoever it is that I'm speaking to. How do I boil it down into the essence of 10 questions, and then create enough of a comfortable space for that person to be able to share everything and do so in a beautiful and elegant way where they feel comfortable. And it's really cool. The research, I think, is one of the most exciting things, because every single person that you find is so beautifully complex, and you open it up and you feel connected.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's amazing.
And another thing, last thing is like, because I love talking about like starting content creation.
Yeah.
It's like I noticed how whenever I'm speaking to someone who's like thinking about, I'd like to start a YouTube channel, and then I'm like, okay, when are you gonna start? And they're like, yeah, like, like I'll do it. It's usually like girls that I'm speaking to this, maybe because they're just like they don't seriously want to be, but they just like the idea of it. Whereas you were like, I want to be a podcaster. I'm booking the session, and now you've made 5, and like you told us you wanted to be a podcaster. Like, I don't know, you probably had the idea for a long time, but like you seriously decided, I don't know, maybe 2 months or 2 months ago, and you've already done 5. It's just like that is someone who is like thought of an idea, took action. So many people don't take action, and that is it. Like, that's another one I'd say: belief, determination, action.
Yeah, action is so important. And no, it's due to you guys. Like, if I didn't have you guys' friendship, and actually, man, it's actually due to you, because of how gracious you were from allowing me to stay in your home here in Bali, and the support that you and Mac have constantly given to me, your attention and everything. So it's really like you know. So I'm so grateful, and like I would not be at all in this realm if it wasn't for being in this place. So I'm so eternally grateful for you letting me stay in your home, and yeah, there's certainly there's always something so fascinating to dig in on. And I actually wrote this down as something with you as well. So with your early days, there's a moment where we show the world externally that we want to do something, and then there's the buildup of how it is internally. And then that time frame internally can be a long time, or it could be a couple of days, or whatever it is, but that could be a huge battle until you decide, fuck it, I'm committing. And I'm curious how much documenting it encourages you to do more of it. Like YouTube and podcasting, the fact that this is recorded is like, okay, this is a statement in time. I've done it. It's proof. I've done it. Like Atomic Habits talks about this, of the number of, or when you want to do something, you don't say it. You go out and prove it to yourself every once in a while, every single day, and then you go and then that's you. So
that's content is such a I love content because you get the live feedback, and also you get like the proof, which you were just talking about, and like I can't remember what I was saying, but the way that you are able to like just decide to make a podcast, prove to yourself that you've made 5, and now like you've made 5, so you're probably gonna like push yourself to make like X amount. And it's just like super inspiring to see.
Oh, man, thank you. I truly am looking at you guys with inspiration, and I'm all of these questions I'm asking are also ones for me to that I'm asking myself. It's like, do you have imposter syndrome in the first videos? You had it, right? Like,
but like we all do. Everyone does. Yeah. But it's like, I think imposter syndrome is great. Like I think even Mr. Beast talks about having it, and it's just
crazy.
Like he's the most subscribed person in the world.
Yeah, you never think that someone of such crazy success would fall into that category, or even have had it, which goes back to I think what you're saying of confidence is not something you're born with. You fucking build it, and that's how it is for anyone that we see. And like sure, some people might have attitude, which I think attitude you could be born with, and that you have a strong attitude. But when it comes to confidence and proving yourself, like no one was born anything. You might have a disposition that puts you closer to one thing or the other, but you got to go out and show the world that this is you.
Yeah, confidence is like one thing that, like I said, like I love to like try and inspire people, because I do know people who aren't like confident, and I'm trying to like show them like you really can. It is a skill. It's literally a skill. Like especially with like women and stuff, like just like being able to approach a woman is like a skill, and you need confidence. But like before, like five years ago, I would never in a million years like have the confidence to go up to someone, and it's like that's how like YouTube can kind of spread out into other areas of life, and just like it's just like confidence is such an amazing skill to have. I would have, and but it is a skill you got to work on it every day.
Yeah, it's incredible how much that has affected like other areas of your life, and when you hit record, it's like, well, it's just me. I gotta go, and so you go and you talk to those folks. I wrote that down as a question as well to you: is what other areas has YouTube benefited you from a confidence level?
females.
The lady
And
boys.
maybe males as well. I'm gonna get cancelled. Yeah, definitely. Like, I'd say with women, I've always been a ladies' man, but no, like I'd say, yeah, like I'm not afraid to speak to any person. You realize that, like, I'm not talking about girls. It's like just in terms
Humans,
of just
yeah.
humans.
Famous
It's like,
celebrity to
yeah,
beautiful woman.
especially like realizing like I'm quote unquote famous, niche famous,
Yeah.
but like
Yeah.
I'm literally just like, I know I'm just a normal guy, and so you realize that's pretty much with everyone, even the famous actors. Like I would never take a picture with like a famous actor now, because I'm just like, oh, he's just like a normal guy. Like, oh, I'd be like, hey, it's like I'm a big fan of your work, but like it's just like a normal guy. So yeah, like
It's improved conversation in general. YouTube.
yeah, improved conversation, not being fearful of anyone. And the gym is also something that I'm slowly working on. It's hard, obviously, as a travel content creator, but confidence in my body, and confidence in like I can achieve my goals in terms of fitness.
Yeah, it's super challenging for consistency, which is the gym. Like if you want to get good physique, then you have to stay consistent. How do you guys do that?
That's so tough.
And by you guys, I mean the travel vloggers.
Yeah. Like I always tell myself, like, so obviously I have a good excuse. I can say, oh, I'm traveling, but I don't give myself that excuse. I'm like, hey, okay, it's never going to be perfect. I can never, I'm changing time zones, and I don't have access to gyms, but I can still give it my best shot. And when I'm in Bali, I can really nail it. And I'm definitely like still slowly working on it. And I'm realizing that actually it's not the things that I thought it was. I used to think it was all how you looked was basically all from the gym, but now I'm realizing it's more from diet, and then what my friend Ali is, because Ali is obviously like huge guy, and I've done some training with him, and he's really teaching me on the mind to muscle connection, which has just completely changed everything. I used to go into the gym and just lift weights, move on, lift, and then not even think, and now I'm like super slow, focusing, like before I go on, like tense the muscles, and I am seeing progress, small progress, but
quicker than before.
Yeah.
No, I had the same thing happen to me, but with a trainer here, Luigi, and I was trying to train my lats, which I didn't even realize I wasn't fucking training the whole time, because the same thing is you move in so quickly, and you're doing the movement so quickly, you don't focus on the muscle, and you end up working out the wrong muscles. So you might have development in some areas, but then the actual area of focus you miss. So it's crazy, but but it sounds like the best way for you guys to stay on top of it is don't give that bullshit excuse that, hey, I'm traveling, because if you can't find a gym near you, then you can do push-ups, or you can bring bands.
Yeah.
But certainly probably one of the hardest things of not just gym, but any life in any community or any component of life is the inconsistency and the need to travel everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like an ugly side of the travel vlogging.
Yeah, for sure. Like I get told all the time, there's like people message me or say to me like, what, you're living the dream, like what's it like? I'm just like, it doesn't feel like it, because like you're not taking the 14-hour flights where I don't sleep on the whole thing. Yeah. Obviously I'm like, would not change a thing. I'm so happy. It's like best job in the world, but not the easiest job in the world. It's like super tough, and especially when you get to stages in life where I do want to focus more on health and fitness. That is two conflicting things, but that's it. That's life. I can't have everything I want, and I just try and be healthy whilst I'm on the road, and also just so grateful that I am getting to experience places that people have dreamed of going to. It's like I was in Hawaii, and I was like, that Hawaii is such a desirable destination, and so I'm just like, appreciate it. God damn it, appreciate it.
Yelling at yourself in the mirror.
Yeah.
I love Hawaii.
Yeah.
Say it with me.
Say it now. But yeah, like I think that's just like once you've traveled so much, you kind of get desensitized to it. But that's why I like to come back to Bali, chill, take some time off, and then when I go on the next trip, I get the feeling of the novelty. It's always when I'm arriving on the plane in like a country a very foreign country, like I just feel amazing.
Yeah.
You can't beat that feeling.
Do you get when you? I think we were talking about this. When you leave, as soon as you leave somewhere and you take off, like as soon as the plane leaves, it's like,
Yeah.
no stress, no problems.
Yep.
Like adventure awaits. You're expecting that next thing, and so it's such an incredible way of being objective. But it sounds like a very big important thing is having a form of a base, and Bali is that, or slowly becoming that.
Yeah. Like it hasn't been the perfect base because I've had my bags kind of everywhere, but now there's like the base of my home now, and also just like a place where you have familiar places, familiar faces. It's unbeatable. This is what all the travel creators said to me before. I didn't have a base. They're like, once you get a base, it'll change things, and it's just a time where I can reset, refocus, and I think people don't realize that the success of my videos probably comes from more the planning than the actual execution. Like I wouldn't say like I'm a particularly amazing vlogger at all. I would say like I'm average, but it's like I'm very good at planning and researching and coming up with the video ideas, and that all happens in Bali in my base.
That's a really good point, and like interesting thing to dig into is it's not constant traveling, and it sounds like everything is pretty well planned out ahead of time. And so what does it look like on a 2-week trip? Like how does that on a day-to-day basis? Are you editing videos or are you just recording content?
So it's changed over the time. Usually when I first started, I was basically doing everything. Now I treat it like I'm almost like an athlete where I'm basically just only creating content and everything else is trying to be outsourced. So I will usually take off like 1 to 2 months. Sounds like a lot, but I'm obviously doing a lot of work in that time. And then 2 weeks of very, very like not hard travel, like a very quick, fast-paced travel. Yeah. Like changing cities every few days. The only time I spend on my laptop is either putting the footage on the laptop or maybe doing a little bit of research. I don't do any editing. I try and do no other work. It's literally just like sleep, create content, go to the gym, sleep, create content, go to the gym, and just consistently for 2 weeks, grab all the content I can, go back to my base. So it's like I sprint and then I rest like an athlete. Sprint, rest. Definitely obviously needs some tweaking. Like sometimes like my last trip I went overboard and did 3 weeks in America, so it's like not a bad place to do it. But the last week I was just like not making much content at all because I was just like there's only so much you can do it and then you just like absolutely
burnt out.
Yeah, because I'm an introvert and I'm doing an extroverted job. So it tires me out more than anyone, and in America more than anything because I was taking advantage of everyone speaking English. So I was going up to so many people on a daily basis, and it just absolutely exhausted me. So after 2 weeks, I was ready for Bali. But yeah, it's constantly learning, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah, I really like the training like an athlete thing. We talked about how Chris Williams does his podcast when you were giving me some advice, and he focuses on the different components that go into making a good podcast, from vocal coaching to ruthlessly going through his film and doing tweaks on himself. And so same thing for you is what's the most important for any athlete is rest. And how do you balance that? Because it quickly could become exhausting as it did in America.
And my content would be very average if I was consistently traveling, which some content creators do, I think.
That's crazy.
I don't know for sure, but I think some of them are just constantly on the road. Yeah. And it's like there's only so much you can make the content as quality if you're doing that.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I think the perception, I obviously know because I'm close to you and Mac and Luke and other travel vloggers, but the perception is that there's always a constant travel, and there's always it's not necessarily on purpose, but
that's just because I'm trying to constantly feed the algorithm.
Yeah.
And I have like everything outsourced.
And also, if you have an audience, you want to keep them engaged, right?
Exactly.
And so you produce, you're on timelines, and it's professional and everything.
Yeah, people don't see the behind the scenes things. Like if there are like I got this all from Luke and Mac, is like I'm posting on Facebook every single day of the year. I'm posting on TikTok every single day of the year.
Wow.
Instagram every single day of the year. But
Wow.
I'm not touching a thing. It's all outsourced. And so obviously it looks like I'm consistently traveling, but that's because I create a backlog, I film all the content, and then send it to my editor, and then there's a whole process. But like that's the behind the scenes that people don't see. But yeah, like it's a proper operation.
Complete operation.
Yeah.
And how many folks do you have on your team right now?
I have 1,000, mainly working in a Chinese factory. No, bad
Producing
joke.
shoes.
Yeah.
Apologies.
I'm
Jokes.
going to hell. 2 full-time, and then a couple on a project-by-project basis.
Yeah.
I'm in the process of hiring or looking for a main, I call them superstars because my 2 full-time guys, I'm going to shout them out, Joseph and Sheen, because they are incredible, absolute like geniuses at what they do, and I couldn't do anything without them. So that's why I say like two superstars, and then I have multiple like people doing like thumbnails and stuff. But this is something that I really try and follow, is outsource everything that I am not the best at, and like really push myself, especially with the editing. Try and outsource that because it's such a time consumer, so I can just focus on, like we talked about earlier, the one thing, which is creating content, thinking of video ideas.
That's so good to, and is that something that you can do from early on? Because I imagine the early stages, it's quite hard to do that because you kind of, you probably can't afford all of this, but you kind of got to get there. And then once you can afford, if you could only afford one like position, it sounds like it'd probably be a superstar, but like what would be the most important for you?
The editor, yeah, because that just frees up time, and obviously time is money. Like time will allow you to work on so many other things. I think there is definitely some value in editing your own videos to start off with, for multiple reasons. Just like being able to do editing is good, but also just knowing what to cut and stuff. Like if people saw the way I cut my videos, I move things chronologically around. People think that my videos aren't chronological, and it looks chronological. But sometimes I'll move something from the end of the video to the start of the video because I'm wearing the same clothes, so people don't realize. And it's all about creating the storyline. So that's why I would say learning editing is good to start off with, but there's a great skill to outsource because it's really not something that you need to be doing it. It's like being a YouTuber, you could be doing like 10 different jobs, but actually, like when you think of a YouTuber, you think of an influencer, creator, like not an editor or thumbnail designer.
No, yeah, it's a personality that you create and this brand that you create, and so yeah, getting out of the way.
But then also people don't, and this is definitely not for like beginners, but more medium creators who are maybe earning a reliable income. Then the next thing is the assistant, which I think so many creators don't get because they're like, I used to think, who needs an assistant? Like, there's not really that needed. But then as soon as I got it, it's just changed everything. I literally would not be able to do it without it.
Oh, they're incredible. And what are the best time savers that your assistant has given you?
Well, running my TikTok, running my Facebook, running my Instagram, so I don't even have to open them, which is just like nice. He now runs my email inbox, so like I hate writing emails. It's really like not a task I enjoy. So having that, and then he's also talking to the brands, so it's just like I talk to the brands through him. It's just very nice. So I'm basically just voice noting the brands in a way because I voice note him and he then types that up. What else? Researching video ideas with me. We go through video ideas and then I'm at the point where I can be like, okay, I'm going to New York tomorrow. Can you find me like a interesting activity to do in New York? And then he'll reach out to like 10 of those activity providers, and then one will say yes, and I'll do that for free. So saving time, money, and yeah, it's brilliant.
That's incredible. Yeah, no, it's so wonderful when you have people who. It also sounds like he's very on to the mission of Harry Jaggard as well, and he knows what you want, knows what you like, and you're able to speak to each other and run with ideas.
Yeah. Like hiring is not easy, for sure. You gotta try before you buy. You gotta test out a few. I'm not talking about ladyboys.
Nope.
Yeah, like it's not easy, but yeah, like I would say people who wanted to find an editor or assistant, just do trials with multiple, and it's a consistent. You do have to teach them. But I've been working with my guys for pretty much the whole time I've been making YouTube videos, like nearly 1 to 2 years. So it's after 2 years, it's working seamlessly, but it wasn't at the start.
Yeah, there's patience in knowing what to say no to. It sounds like, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, man, well, Harry, I'm so grateful for you coming on to this.
Thank you,
Great
brother.
conversation,
How
as
long
we
has it
always
been?
have. I'm not too sure, actually.
Holy shit! It's been 24 hours.
Oh my god. But anyways, thank you for watching this long, Mr. Jaggard.
Thank you so
Always a
much for
pleasure,
having
man.
me.
Yeah, amazing.